Hi guys, here's a quick little review and some tips for your LST S2 all-in-one cheap camera. These have been around for a while now, and you can find them on Gearbest, usually on a flash sale for around $10. I've had a couple of these, and I just thought I'd point out some things I found with them and a few things to watch out for and make better. Here's a bit of flight footage mounted on a tiny whoop on a sunny day in the morning. First off, you'll notice right away the black hole sun effect with this, but otherwise it's not a bad picture. The light transition from shadows is good as well for what it is. On an overcast day, you can see that the colors get a little bit washed out and turn to gray. That's one thing I noticed if I'm flying around bare branches. They will blend into the sky quite easily. They won't stand out, but this is what it is. It's for $10. It's not a bad image. You're just going to have some limitations. On to the pros and cons. The pros are the price to start with, normally around $10, sometimes as low as $8, and it is very lightweight at 3.5 grams. And for the price, the image quality is fairly good. I would find that it's better than the camera I've got on the Eachine Lizard 95 for sure. The black hole sun isn't a real terrible thing. It's just going to make note that it's there, as you've seen in the flight footage. The issues I've had with this is, first one is the antenna pops off the connector relatively easy. You want to secure it on there with a piece of shrink wrap or a zip strap or some other way to secure the antenna so that in a crash it doesn't pop off. I've lost a couple of antennas this way. On one of these, I've had the power connector work intermittently and then eventually stop working altogether. I have a fix for that. I'll show you later. I've also found that the lens and sensor will come unglued from the front main board rather easily. I've had them pop off with just by mounting it on the 3D printed holder that snaps around the back of the lens. The next thing is a rather small thing. I had one of these cameras come out of focus right out of the box, and I just simply had to tweak it by turning the lens. If you have to do this, be really careful because it's really tight to turn and you could break the sensor right off of the board. So be aware that this antenna can pop off relatively easy, at least on the 3 cameras I've had. Make sure you secure it on there, like I mentioned before, with a piece of tubing or shrink tubing wrapped around the antenna where it's snapped on, or a zip tie. In my case, I didn't have any more antennas, and I got one of these other antennas from Banggood and soldered it on. You can see the outside coax and the inner wire to solder, and I soldered it onto these 2 points here, and it's been solid ever since. After my power connector failed, I soldered leads directly to these points here, the upper one being positive and the lower one being negative. No problems ever since after I did that. After the lens and sensor popped off, I just re-glued it back on with shoe glue. Just be careful that you get the sensor fully seated onto the board. If it's not fully seated, the slightest amount of light will get in between the board and the sensor, and you'll have all kinds of problems. OSD or on-screen display can be added to this all-in-one by soldering to these 2 points. This first one is video out, and on the back side is video in. Just be very careful soldering to these very small points. I hope this video helps some of you out and help you make a decision before you spend all your hard-earned money. It's not a bad unit, in my opinion. worth the $10. To buy a lens is $2 or $3 on its own. Leave your comments and questions. Be glad to hear from you. Thank you.